Well, I wanted to say thank you very much for watching this episode of Texas Cooking Today. Do me a favor. Click the like button, subscribe, and drop some comments down below. I really appreciate that. I love reading those. If you would, also some ideas, suggestions, things that you might like to see. And I'll try to work them into future episodes of my gardening. Okay? And this is important because, hey, I do cooking channel, and knowing how your food arrives is important. So here we are working on how food arrives and how to take care of the plants in the gardens and how to provide for yourself if you're fortunate enough to have a little space to do it in. I have a little space and I'm busting my rear end to have food for myself because I suspect the cost of food is going to go up way more than it has. It's part of, if you kick out your workforce that does the collecting of the food, you don't have any food, it rots in the field and you pay more. And that's the way that game is played. So, there we have it. We'll take a look at the garden, take a look at the onions, you get a chance to see the tomatoes, how they're doing. Also, we're going to talk about how to deal with weeding, how to deal with some bug pressure, and how to make your garden a little more comfortable and easy to work in by using the right tools and the right methods. Okay, so there you have it, folks. Let's take a look. We'll start over here at the onion patch. Let's get out there and look. So I'm busy collecting some of those onions I've grown. Oh, come on. See how these have turned brown on the top up here, these top leaves? I left these in the ground too long. I left all of these in the ground too long, to the tune of about a week and a half too long. Now, by the way, there is a good clue for you right there. About a week and a half too long. Come on. That one broke. I tried to get underneath them, pull the soil up so that they come out well. I could be using a little hand spade or something. That would probably help, but usually, unless the soil is too hard, I can get under them. Come on. Come on now. There it is. So, what we want to have is to have plenty of green still on the onion when we collect them. And the minute that top falls over, that's the onion telling you, hey, I'm done growing. It's time to either pull me out or wait for the bulb to go to seed next year. Which it will. If you leave that bulb out next year, that onion will go to seed, and that's what you're going to get. Rats. Okay, so onions. Lots and lots of onions. Next thing is onions, as we're talking about here, rotting. You don't get too much time to take care of them. Now, the problem that we have right now here in Texas, we have a bunch of farmers. That one's rotted. That one's still firm. We have a bunch of farmers whose onions are now ready to collect, okay? South Texas, they need to get their onions out of the ground because they are presently rotting. Now, you know what happens if Texas, which is a huge producer of onions, what happens if Texas onions don't make it to market? That means the other onions that do make it to market are going to cost a whole lot more because there's no competition against them. And they're going to be in short supply. Well, why would that be? Why would that be? I'll tell you why. Because somebody had the genius idea to kick all of the farm workers out of our country. And see, most of those folks were Hispanic. So there's this anti-Hispanic sentiment going on that a lot of foolish people voted for. And now our field hands said, well, if you're going to have us arrested for doing work for you, we're not going to do it. So they went ahead and took off. They're not even available. Which is why I have a message for every person that voted for that. If you voted hoping to get those people removed from this nation, and I use the term those people not because I am bigoted, but because those who made that decision are bigoted. All right? So, if you voted to have those people removed, then you're one of the ones that needs to get your butt out to the farm, get out in the field, and start picking the onions that you're running up the cost on. You're part of the problem. And if you're mad at me for saying that, I'm not the one that ran the farm help out of the country. But I am one of the ones who's going to end up having to pay a higher price as a result of that. That's some stupid thinking right there, ladies and gentlemen. If you're in business, running off your help and torquing off your customers isn't generally a smart idea. In fact, that's one of those ideas we call a stupid idea. It's a stupid idea to run your farm help out of the country. It's a stupid idea to be hateful to people in the first place for any reason. And if you're getting something and things are going well, to want to change that because you want to pretend there's an issue that doesn't really exist, you're going to end up with some high price. There's a lot of naysayers right now shaking their heads going, that ain't going to run up the cost of nothing. It's them Democrats, they're running up the cost. No, stupid decisions like this, like the whole onion farming thing, like running the help out of the country, that's what runs up your prices, ladies and gentlemen. That's also what's flaming stupid. Absolutely flaming stupid. Hey, Texas yellow granules right there. So that's what I have to say on that. It might have seemed rude. I apologize if it comes across that way. But I think in life, at certain times, certain things need to be said. Right now, we got a whole lot of stupid rampaging all over the country, thinking that stupid is somehow going to make today better than yesterday. Stupid never makes today better. Stupid does make today harder, more difficult, more expensive. So what we have is a whole bunch of onions that have come due. The ones that would normally be hitting your grocery store won't be. If you like those Texas 1015s, if you like buying those, guess what you're not going to get this year? In order for you to get Texas 1015s, we got to have farm hands. We just kicked them all out of the country, so we have no farm hands. And for those who say, well, they were taking other people's jobs. Okay, where are those people? Why aren't they stepping up to the plate? Where are they? Why aren't they out there getting those onions out of the field that need to be collected? Where are they? That's right. They didn't really exist, did they? It was just a talk point. Just a talking head's point. Well, it's going to be one heck of an expensive talking point. That's an entire industry. I have to get my onions in storage. So I can have them for a while. Onions, if they're stored the right way, can last for many months, but they take the right storage. My goodness. It was really the best year for onions for me ever. And this next year, it's going to be even better because now I have real understanding of how to grow these things. These things don't grow during the summer. That's not their growing season. Onions in this part of the country grow through the winter, okay? So we start them just before winter starts, usually in October. In fact, 10/15, that's the date you plant your onions. It's not just a kind of onion, that's the planting date, 10/15. So the middle of October we plant, then the winter solstice comes as they are starting to germinate and come up. And then slowly those days grow longer until the summer solstice. And that is the growing time that onions will grow. The minute that summer solstice hits and the days start getting shorter, the tops of the onions flop over, and that's when it's time to get them. The onions won't grow anymore after that. They're simply just going to sit there. Okay? So, come the last part of June, you got to get your onions collected. And then you can use your garden for whatever else for a little summer growth before the next October 15th when you plant those onions again. Okay? So, that's the onion bed. Something I wanted to take just a moment to talk about, and that was weeds. How do we deal with weeds? Well, I have an item here, and this is old. It's called a hula hoe. See how the head wobbles? That's on by design. These things are good for getting under the soil and just flat removing stuff for you. Look at that. There's a quick way of removing a lot of weeds, and what you've done is you've taken your hoe, you've pushed it right up under their roots and pulled them up like so. So that's a good way to deal with weeds right there. Now this other tool I've got right here, that's called a hand cultivator. Let me get down here. Sometimes you're in an area where maybe you have plenty of delicate plants around. See how easy these weeds come out now? I just got to take them and set them aside, okay? Sometimes though, you're working around other plants that are delicate and you don't want to disturb them, so using something like this, simply get up under the weed, loosen its roots, and there it goes. That's all there is to that. How to get weeds out easy. Get under their roots. There we are. And you've got the weed. So folks, this is one way of dealing with these little guys, all right? Come on, there we go. So I will, from time to time, get into certain areas where I've got plenty of weeds like this. I'll just go at them. Sometimes you get a root. So the whole idea of doing good weeding is getting under the roots, getting the majority of the roots, so the weed is not going to regrow from its roots. It doesn't mean other weeds aren't going to grow. It just means that weed is dealt with for the time being. There we go. So I wanted to talk to you today about certain problems in the gardens. Weeds are one of those problems. Sounds like my neighbor's using his weed eater, also known as string line trimmer, to deal with some messes in his yard. It's always a good thing to do. Back here I have this, which is a lot of Bermuda grass. So you'll know, getting Bermuda grass out is the same as the rest of this, but you need to go a little deeper. Get down to those lower runners so that once you get those, you're really removing it, okay? And it won't grow back from those. So I really recommend that for that stuff, you go deeper, get the runners, and then you've dealt with it for a long period of time. Bermuda is going to keep coming back if you have it outside of your garden. You're going to keep fighting it, okay? Because it wants to spread. It wants to grow into the areas that it's not already in. It's just its natural growth habit, okay? Not a bad thing. It's just the way things are, all right? So another problem that we run into in the garden is pests, bugs. You got caterpillars, you got silverfish, and a variety of different beetles. You've got spiders, you've got white flies, aphids, spider mites, which I think I've got back behind here. And we're going to show that here in a minute. I'm going to show you my tomatoes that are doing excellent and where they're having problems with bugs, okay? So pretty soon as I get the rest of these weeds out of here, I'm ready to plant this little bed right here. That'll be a carrot bed, okay? I can plant carrots at any time of the year, and it works, okay? They're one of those crops that are quite dependable. As long as you give them some food and water, they're going to grow for you and do well. Now, let's take a look at the tomato bushes here. Over here, don't have a lot of weeds going on, but what I do have, I have this going on. Something's getting on my leaves and killing these. And if I look close, I don't see much, but if I look real close, I can see these little tiny white specks. So I believe what I have here are some spider mites, okay? This is not unusual. Do yourself a favor, pluck off all of the affected leaves. I see some here that are starting to turn. This green one getting some yellow spots. And if I look under it, right where those yellow spots are occurring, I see this little webbing and little white specks. They're very, very, very tiny, okay? But those are the bugs that are chewing up my tomatoes. So in addition to removing these leaves that have been affected, which is also good for clearing out the bottom of the plant, okay? This goes all the way up through it. So what I want to do is get out here with some bug spray, and I want to spray this. All right, so now what kind of bug sprays do we use? Well, there's a variety of things, and I use them all, okay? One is malathion. Malathion is a fancy word for kills almost everything, okay? There's also BT, which is Bacillus thuringiensis. Get that off of there. And that is a wonderful bacteria. Oop, there, see, sometimes you'll break a vine when handling them. Don't let that bother you. It'll make for a stronger plant later on. Just tuck that vine you broke up where it goes, and it'll be fine. It'll be fine. All right. So it looks like I've got a lot of this in here. And it looks like I've got a lot of work to protect my plants. So after I get all this pulled out, I'll be up in here spraying my bug poisons. And this time I'm going to use everything. I'll hit it down here with some malathion. Normally I don't like to do that because see here, I've already got fruit growing. However, the fruit is a long ways from being harvestable. So since it is so far from being harvestable, I can spray malathion. Otherwise, I would avoid it. Now, something else I can use, I can crop dust. That is carbaryl is what that is, crop dusting. Now, crop dusting is quite effective. It works for farmers. Farmers still do it a lot, okay? And they do it because, frankly, it works. Right there. I'm gonna break this whole thing off. Now, if you're afraid of removing some of the stems from your vines, don't be. You're not hurting them. Your vine will come out, it'll branch. It'll come out thicker, fuller, and it'll produce more fruit for you. Right now, my vines are loaded with fruits, and what I did is I let the ground dry out real good to stress them. Pardon me. And then I started rewatering them, and they went crazy blooming, and now it's just a matter of growing them tomatoes. Now, some tomato plants are more susceptible to problems like this than others. So I'm seeing this more on certain varieties than I am on other varieties. Keep that in mind. So we've talked about BT, which is Bacillus thuringiensis, and that is bacteria that will kill caterpillars, and it'll also go after the larvae of mosquitoes, and a variety of other little goodies. So that's a good one to use. It doesn't kill everything though. The crop dusting carbaryl, that's quite effective, especially for tomatoes. The malathion, which is a spray, a liquid spray, it's quite dangerous and deadly. It's a lot of toxin there. I avoid it unless I absolutely need it. And right now I've got a bad infestation, so I'm breaking it out. Okay, and there's what I'll be doing. Now I'll also be using, this is an old one, but it works well, dish soap. I will be spraying these daily with dish soap. That dish soap seriously hampers this kind of bug pressure. So we've talked about weed pressure and bug pressure. Let's take a look at the tomatoes and see how the bushes are doing now. Actually, they're vines, but they're quite bushy. Okay. It's a little steamy in here, so I'm kind of sweaty. That's why I'm wearing my headband. When I have tomatoes that have these little flowers, give them a shake. Okay, that's what's going to get you good pollination. You're doing your own pollinating, right? That's going to grow you more tomatoes. So just give them a good shake. And look at these. Look at the size of this. All right? These are almost as tall as I am. They're getting way up there. Okay? This is what I was telling you before. When it comes to growing tomatoes, they can really be robust if you let them. Shake your tomatoes, give them a good jiggle, make sure they stay tucked into their cages. So if you see a branch sticking out, just tuck it in. This one I tucked in and it broke the other day, but guess what? It's still growing. All right, these are nice, they're beautiful. All of my tomatoes but one have survived so far. I've got some bug pressure on these things, but guess what? I know how to deal with that. Also, there's a little bit of weed pressure in here, but it's not bad. I've really got that under control. Occasionally, here we go. Occasionally I see a weed and have to pull it out. All right, not a big thing. Now, my lettuce is growing good. My cabbage is putting out fresh heads. My broccoli is putting out more fresh broccoli. And that's the thing is, once you cut broccoli, it'll keep producing more heads. They'll just be smaller. Let it, okay? It'll give you more food. Over here, my asparagus ferns, they're thin, wispy, and they're just now starting to grow. So they're going to be a year or two before I get good production. And then my strawberries, well, the strawberries are just, they are going crazy. And they're producing. I don't have to look hard to find strawberries. Juicy, sweet, a little bit tart, delicious. The way I love them. Definitely grow yourself some strawberries if you're going to have a garden. They're a little treat that is just there for you anytime you want it. Now my broccoli plants, look at this. So you got these little heads coming up through here. Here's some more. There's another one down there. More on that plant. Over here on this plant I'm getting little heads. They're small heads, big deal. They're still broccoli. They taste good. So I'm going to cut these heads of broccoli, take them in and cook them up and enjoy them. I thought I would show you my cabbage plant. That plant we grew that big beautiful cabbage on. Well, looky here. It's forming a head here and a head here, forming another head here, forming a head here. These heads likely won't get as big as the original, but it's still more cabbage. It's good cabbage, delicious cabbage. Over here, got my lettuce up and doing its thing. Delicious lettuce. So down here, these little wispy ferns, these are asparagus. Here, here. See? Back here, fresh asparagus coming up. It's not big enough to eat yet, but it will be next year. So all my little asparagus plants are doing real good here. They seem to be producing the way I was hoping they would. And it looks like all but maybe one of them made it. Now I also have some weed grasses back here. those have to be removed. This right here will simply rob nutrients and water from, from your plants. There we go. See, I got one right there. It was right in the middle of that plant. So my asparagus there wasn't getting all of its nutrients because these guys are stealing from them. So don't let your weeds be invasive to your plants. Take care of these and stay on top of them. If you do that, you won't have many problems with weeds in your garden. And here it's mostly just grasses, some what they call creeping Charlie that produces a form of urushiol, so it can really mess with you if you touch it very much. This stuff. Some people call this clover. It's not clover. It's not wild clover. This is creeping Charlie. It contains urushiol. It can mess with your skin really bad. Wear gloves when pulling it, okay? Important. Well, my cucumbers, they're coming up. Whoops, I just broke the end of it. Would you look at that? Now it's going to branch and grow more. Okay, not a problem. When we break a vine, it's just good for the plant. Down here, well, looky here. I got a little zucchini growing right there. Still got his bloom on the end of him. And I imagine, yep, I got some more over here. They're starting to grow. And it looks like I'm getting blooms on my yellow squash. It looks like the squash is doing real good. It's going to be producing good fruit for me throughout the summer. And it looks like I got a good early start on it. Well, not an early start, but the plant's producing at an early stage. There we go. I could have gotten these out a month earlier, but hey, I was busy. Nonetheless, they're planted, they're growing, they're producing. And that means good food. I love yellow squash. I love zucchini. And cucumbers, well, they make all kinds of good stuff. So, just good food all the way around. Now, I've got some tomatoes growing behind me here, and also my okra. Let's take a look at what's happening there. Get an idea of how things are progressing. Now, these tomatoes, by the way, I planted them by seed outside about a month after I planted the ones in the high tunnel, which were already developed from December growing in pots. Let's take a look at the ones that are seeded into the dirt a month after I planted the others. We have some tomatoes growing here. The stems are getting good and thick, so they're going to produce really well. I'm certain of that. Here's my okra. These are starting to do really well. And remember, everything out here, folks, this was all planted by seed. Whenever you're in your garden, just grab whatever weeds you see, get them out of your way. That helps to reduce how much you have to do when it comes to weeding day. Now I have some more over here. One is looking very wilted, and it's looking wilted because I transplanted it. And I transplanted it kind of late. I think it's going to live, but it's going to struggle at first. Now let's take a look at the pepper plants. Let's see how they're doing. Well, pepper plants, looky there. Jalapenos. Look at all these jalapenos on this. Look at all this, and there's more little ones all the way up it. This plant, got a few on it, got some more down there. All of my jalapenos, they're doing well. Now I'm starting to get peppers down on my other plants, like my poblanos. Don't have anything substantial to show you in the way of peppers yet, but they'll be there. We'll give them time. These guys, they just need time, water, fertilizer, and sunshine, okay? You give them those, they'll do fine. Occasionally spray them for bugs, and the rest pretty much takes care of itself, all right? Enjoy your plants. Well, goodness, thank you very much for watching, and I appreciate you putting up with me and my preaching a little bit. As I asked for you to do in the first of the video, if you haven't done so, please subscribe. If you've already subscribed, no sense in clicking the button again, because it'll just unsubscribe you. And do me a favor, click the like button. Drop me some comments down below. I appreciate you folks doing that. It's very nice, and it's very helpful to me because I can produce a better product. If you would, enjoy your garden. Thank you for watching this, and please check out some of my cooking videos. There's some really good stuff there. I include what comes out of the garden. Thanks for watching.